I'm Jess Faulkner, and this is Jess. Today's episode is heavy, and I want to acknowledge that up front. We'll be talking about the unimaginable loss of a child, a pain so deep and pervasive that it's hard to put into words. But in these conversations, we find healing, understanding, and maybe even a little bit of hope. If you've been touched by this type of loss, I want you to know you're not alone. Listeners, please be advised. Today, we're talking about the heartbreak of losing a child, a pain that no one should have to know, but so many people do. This episode isn't just for those who've experienced this loss, but for anyone who knows someone who has. Understanding this grief is part of showing up for each other. The truth is, grief is messy. It's not a straight line. Sometimes it hits you in the middle of the night, and sometimes it catches you off guard when you're in a crowd. I think a lot about what it means for a parent to have to live with that grief. How do you keep going when your child is gone? I've heard some parents say it's like walking through life with a piece of you missing forever. And that's the thing about grief. It doesn't just go away. It shifts. It stays with you, changing form. I recently sat down with a local Sumter mom, Ashley, to talk to her about her experience in losing a child. Ashley, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Ashley. I'm from Sumter. I'm a wife and a mom and the mother of one angel.
Can you tell me a little bit about your daughter, Nevaeh?
Yes, she was, when she passed away, she was 7 years old. She was one of the most beautiful children I think I'd ever laid eyes on. She was like the perfect combination of a girl. She was sassy but sweet.
Yeah.
And she would fight. Oh my gosh, she was not scared of anything. She was tiny. She was a little old thing, but she had the heart of a lion. She was never scared to express herself, never scared to stand up for herself or her siblings. She was just she was a beautiful soul, and she loved animals. She was kind-hearted, she was tender-hearted. Even with her attitude and her sassiness, she was never not tender-hearted and kind. She
Wonderful.
was beautiful inside and out.
If you could describe her spirit in 3 words, what would they be?
Wild, carefree, loving.
Would you be willing to share a favorite memory you have of her?
Yeah, so it's we used to do this thing when she would get home from school, and it was every day. And I would be sitting in the living room waiting on him to get home. And as soon as she would walk in the door, I'd wave at her and get excited. And I'm like, hey, Vaya, player from the Himalayas, how was your day today? And she would either, if she was in a good mood, she would laugh and, tell me it was great. And then if she was in a bad mood, she would roll her eyes at me and stomp away. And I always did it every day. Like I didn't miss a day. So that's probably one of my favorite little things that we had going on with each other.
I love that. Would you feel comfortable telling us what happened the day of the accident?
Yeah. So um we woke up. It was just like a normal morning. I was getting over the flu. My eldest daughter, she'd been sick. Everybody was finally getting back to normal. I had just brought Nevaeh home the day before. This was a Monday morning that the accident happened. So we had got her on Sunday because I didn't want her to get sick. And so we ate dinner, went to bed, got up, was getting ready for school. I can remember, doing the normal things, brushing her hair, putting it in a ponytail, making sure her and her sister were together. And they left. And about maybe not even 15 minutes later, I get a phone call. It was my husband. And he was telling me that he got into an accident. And the first thing I asked was, where were my girls? And he was like, oh, they're at school. And I don't think at the time my brain fully comprehended that the timeline just didn't match up. So I was telling him I was on my way, to just to hang on. Well, I felt, and I know I'm pretty sure you've heard the saying before. Have you ever heard the saying that your children are your heartstrings? People use it often.
Yes. Yes.
I remember I was putting my clothes on to go to where he was at, and I felt like it popped. Like it was a physical, you could feel that snap. And I know that sounds crazy, but it is the truth. You would feel it. And I knew who it was. I didn't need to be told. I knew exactly who it was. So I got his mother and a friend of his come and got me and took me to the scene of the accident. And I got there, and the first thing out of my mouth when I was speaking to the officer was, "Where is Nevaeh? Where's my daughter?" And they told me that they were all taken to the hospital at Presbyterian. So we got in the car and we went, but I knew something wasn't right. So I get to the hospital. And when I say this, it's not that I didn't care about my oldest daughter. It was that I knew that she was okay, without a doubt. But I knew that there was something wrong with her sister. And as soon as I got into the hospital, they led me into the little side room where they put family members. And I remember I was roaming the hallways asking where Nevaeh was. And I was describing her to every nurse that I could pass by. I had once tell me that she was airlifted to Columbia. I had one tell me that she was fine. And so I finally went to where Amaya, which is my older daughter, was. And I went and seen my husband, but he wasn't in the room. And the first thing Amaya said to me is that she showed me her hand and she was like, "Mommy, I broke my hand." And it was the size of a softball.
Goodness.
And so I went to her, and about the time the doctor walked in, and then the chaplain walked in. And when I seen the chaplain, I was like, "No, no." And so the doctor started telling me about Amaya, and I stopped him mid-sentence, and I said, "I need to know, where's my other child? Where's my other little girl?" And he looked at me, he said, "Nobody's told you." And I'm like, "Told me what? No, I haven't heard anything." And he said, "Well, she died at the scene." And I fainted. I screamed and I fainted. And when I come back, I wasn't out long. I literally, it's like I've never been angry as I was then in my entire life. It's like this rage. And I remember telling them to not touch me, to get their hands off of me, to let me go. My mom had to get them off of me because they did not, I mean, they weren't doing it to be rude. They thought they were helping me, but they weren't. And I went to find my husband because it was not his fault. But at that time, my brain was not catching up to reality.
Sure.
And every day I'm thankful that when I went around that corner, that he was not there. They had took him to the back because he got hurt, and they were fixing him up. And when I got into his room, I remember sitting down, and as soon as I sat down, it was like everything left me and it was just numb. So then I had to focus on my oldest daughter because she was being airlifted to Columbia. Or no, I'm sorry, they were gonna transport her to Columbia in the ambulance because when the accident happened, the car hit on the passenger side on the back, but it was hard enough that when it hit, her leg come out of her pelvic bone and broke.
Oh, gosh.
And it hurt. She had a ruptured spleen. She broke all her fingers on her hand. So it was like I didn't have time to focus on Nevaeh at that time. I had to focus on Amaya. And we went to Columbia. I got there and she didn't know. And we went to the room with her, and the first thing she asked was, "Where's my sister?" And I had to tell her. And she screamed and cried, and but I maybe thinking back, maybe I shouldn't have, but I didn't wanna lie. I wanted to be as open as possible with her, and because they were close. They're Irish twins. They're not even a year apart.
Yeah.
And so she had her surgeries, everything went fine. I was numb the entire day. The next day, I had to be admitted into the hospital for fluids because once I finally was able to sit down, I I couldn't stop. So I cried and cried to the point where I was sick, and then I had to get fluids and then pull myself together, come back to Sumter and plan a funeral. And my husband, bless him, he hit his head, so he couldn't help me. And it wasn't his fault, but he would remember what happened. And then 5 seconds later, he would forget and ask me what we were doing and why we were in Columbia. And I would have to tell him again. And then eventually I was like, I can't. I can't keep telling him over and over. Because you tell your husband that his child has died, and and it's that same wrenching reaction every single time on a loop.
Mhm.
And then eventually I just decided to tell everybody, just don't say anything else. Keep him occupied because I just couldn't handle it at that point. But it was, um, I'm thankful I had a lot of friends and family who was very supportive. They they came out and made sure we were all okay. David finally did get back some of his, memory, his sense. He's blocked out a lot of things, I'm 100% sure, and that's fine. I don't think I would wanna remember either if I was him because he was in the car.
Right.
So, we never talked about it, and that's okay. There's just things I don't wanna know. I mean, and it's fine. But Amaya's surgery went well. She's had 6 surgeries since then. She's now 19. Um, Graduated from high school early, beautiful kid. Super proud of her. She's overcome everything. And now we just kinda have to live life with a person missing, and that's always the bad end of it.
Yeah. What do you remember feeling in those first few hours or days after the accident?
It's it's like your heart is empty. It's like you're empty. You're a shell. It's like you're just going on pure adrenaline. There's no feelings. There's no 'cause I didn't have time, and I'm sure it's different for everybody, but I just didn't have the time to sit down and feel. And you could feel like for I wanna say the first week, every day at the same exact time that the accident happened, I would wake up out of bed. And it's just and you feel it. It's like this automatic feeling in your heart. You know that that person's gone. You could feel that emptiness. You feel that loss in your chest, in your soul. For people that say that souls don't exist, etc., that's not true. You literally feel it down into your soul. Your soul hurts. Your soul mourns. And it is the worst feeling I've ever experienced in my entire 37 years of life. And you you just have to deal with it because there's nothing that you can do.
Yeah. What would you say was the hardest thing no one prepared you for after losing your child?
To go on, to live on. I would it I re I remember waiting for months, and my daughter, when she finally went back to school, I remember her coming home, and I would wait for that door to open and her sister to come in behind her. It was having to move on, having to keep going, and finally realizing and making yourself understand that she's not coming back. No matter how much you want her to, she's not coming back. And so that is one of the hardest things to realize. And once you finally allow your brain to comprehend that they're not coming back, then you have to sit there and you have to learn to live like that. You have to build a whole different lifestyle. Your life isn't the same. It just everything changes. You're a different person and you're basically meeting a whole new version of yourself and you have to learn how to live with yourself. You
Yeah.
have to learn how to live and keep going without this person. I would go shopping for clothes, and I would literally pick out a shirt for my son, a shirt for my daughter, and a shirt for Nevaeh because I was so used to grabbing in threes. And that went on for the longest time until I would have to stop myself. My husband was like, "Ashley," and I'm like, I know, you get so used to things, and it's having to put that shirt back, and it's having to realize she's not coming in the door anymore. You're not gonna be the same person. You're in, like, this club that you don't wanna be a part of, but you can't leave, and you have to deal with it, and you have to just learn to deal with it, and learning is hard. That was so hard to learn to deal with.
Yeah. I think you and I had spoke earlier before about how, there's no term for this loss, that
Mm-mm.
when a child loses parents, they're an orphan, but a parent losing a child, probably, I mean, easily one of the most heart-wrenching, heartbreaking losses you can imagine.
Mhm.
There's nothing, there's no name for it. There's no word for it.
No.
Was there anything that people said to you, or something that somebody had done for you that had actually helped? And on the same coin, what are some things that you wish people wouldn't have said?
So, as far as the one of the things that helped me is I met this lady, and I won't disclose her name, but she had been through a situation similar to me, and I just so happened to meet her, and she talked to me, and she explained things, and I don't anybody who loses a child has it's terrible, it's tragic, and there's no tragedy more than the next person's, but her situation, it was like she was an inspiration to me because she lost not 1, but 2 children at the same time. And this woman was out there making a difference. She was out there singing, she was talking to people, and just having her to look at, and I was like, "If she can do it, I can do it. I can do this. I can do this," because I didn't wanna do it. I was at a point where I didn't wanna do it anymore. I didn't, and I looked at this lady, and I met her, and I'm always gonna be thankful, and she inspired me to get up in between her and my son and my daughter, and I was like, "You know what? I have to keep going.
Yeah.
There is no quitting. You don't get to lay down and die. It's just not happening. That's not fair. You have people that love you." And I'm like, "No, if this lady can do it, I can do it." So she was one of my ones. As far as the words of sympathy that you receive is I don't think I've ever heard one that was helpful. And it's fine because there's really nothing you can say at that time to anybody, that's gonna make much sense. But I think one of the things that really I couldn't stand when someone said to me, and I beg anyone listening to please reconsider because I know it doesn't come from a place of, badness, but it is not something you should say to someone who's in a situation where they lost a child, especially unless this child was sick, etc. Telling them one thing is that they're not hurting anymore. And the second thing would be telling them that God needed them more.
Yeah.
It drove me insane. I It drove me insane because I'm like, first of all, she wasn't suffering, you know?
Yeah.
And then second of all, what do you mean he needs her more? That's the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard in my entire life. And trying not to say anything negative in response to that was like it was hard because I would want to snap and be like, "Don't say that," but you don't wanna be that person. So please, please, I know they mean well, but don't say that. Think twice about saying that. Say you're sorry, tell them 'em you're sorry for their loss. you're prayed for them. All that good stuff is great, but just that they're not suffering and God needing them more, that's not necessary.
How has your grief changed over time, if it has changed? And what surprises you about grief now?
So in the beginning, it was hard for me to function like a normal human being. I mean, and it's expected, you know, I just, I got to where I didn't want to be around family hardly anymore. I just wanted to be by myself. And my son, he was a baby at the time, so I would lay in the bed and we'd watch cartoons all day with my son. And I finally, thankfully, started doing a little better day by day. I went to therapy. Therapy was okay. Um, but I think the biggest thing was me making myself and realizing I have stuff to do. You can't just lay down and die. And
Yeah.
that was like I kept telling myself that. I know it sounds crazy, but I was like, Ashley, you can't lay down and die. You have to get up. You have kids. You have a husband. Get up. Let's go. She wouldn't want you to be, like this. I think one of the worst things probably was the nightmares. And when I finally got past those, I was thankful because I had nightmares, terrible nightmares for months after the accident, which didn't help the process of healing at all. And then finally those passed, and as the years go by, it started getting easier to get up. It started getting easier to go. It started being more easy for me to talk about her, and I realized that it's not that you can't do it. It is life isn't over. It's you have to want to. And I wanted to. I wanted to make it. And so I kept going, and it was hard, and it was, you would hear a song, or I would see a picture, or I'd hear someone say something that she used to say, and it would trigger me, and then it would put me into this headspace of where I just wanted to not exist anymore. And I finally, and it took me a while, but I finally was able to cope and think about it and worry about my children, focus on other things. I couldn't, it's not that I didn't want to focus on Nevaeh. I just had to focus on the children that I still have.
Yeah.
And I did. And now I think what surprises me now is I could go. I went for her first birthday. Her birthday passed a couple of months ago, and I worked that day. And I never work on her birthday. And I know but that was a big deal to me because I was able to cope.
Yeah.
I didn't cry. I did not, lose my mind. I didn't feel like, because every birthday, every day that she died, it's like I am in the bed wanting to not exist anymore. But this year I didn't do that. I got up, I went to work, and I carried on about it like it was a normal day. I said happy birthday, posted on Facebook, but I just kept moving forward. And I was super proud of that accomplishment.
As you should be. That you I mean, you have incredible strength, you know, and resilience. And I just person to person am proud of you as well.
Thank you. It was been hard, but I don't want to take me down. I have plans. Me and her's gonna be together again soon. We have a play date. She's waiting on me. So I got to live and do what I have to do. So when it's my time, I'm going wherever she's at. So I just keep thinking about that. Me and her will be together again. It's coming. She's waiting on me. She's not going anywhere. I just can't see her anymore. But she's still here. She's everywhere.
Yeah. Did losing your daughter change the way you see the world or people around you?
So one of the things that, and I'm not too proud of it, and there are certain people I probably should apologize to, because it wasn't right, because I know it was not correct of me. But I remember after losing my daughter, I would see people, um, that, in my honest opinion, didn't deserve children. And I would be like, "Why do they get to keep their children?"
Yeah.
And it was horrible of me. That's not right, I know that. That was horrible of me. But at that time, my brain was like, or I would see someone cause an accident and they got to live. And I'm like, "Why? Why did you get to live?" Like,
Yeah.
and I have no room to judge anybody. Like, I am not judge an executioner, but my brain would be like, "You're a crap human. You were drunk, you were on drugs. And why did you get to live? Why did my child die and you got to live?"
Yeah.
And that was something that started afterwards. And I had to finally pull myself and be like, "Ashley, that's not right. You have no room to judge anybody. That's not okay because it's not okay." And I'm just going to say it is a normal feeling and don't be ashamed of it. It happens. You just have to realize that it's not okay. And then I think everything changed as far as I used to be way more outgoing and I was always on the go and I was always the aunt that had all the children. Like everybody wanted to come to Auntie Ashley house and I always had all the kids and doing birthdays or anything because I've always been a person who loved kids. And after the accident, I still love all my nieces and nephews with my entire heart, but I lost that drive and want to do the things that I used to do.
Yeah.
And it hasn't picked back up, sadly. I just don't have the energy. And it's not that I don't love them. I adore them, each and every one of them, and they know it. Thankfully, they're getting older now, so they're not holding it against me. Um, but I couldn't do it anymore. Not that like I said, not that I didn't love them. I didn't have it in me. I would still have birthday parties for my children, and I would invite everybody. But as far as me having all the kids spend the night and going here, I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. I know you mentioned your nieces and nephews. I am
Mhm,
curious about your family. You mentioned that you have a son and another daughter.
mhm.
I'm wondering, how is your family, especially your other daughter? How have they navigated this grief journey with you?
So, one of the things that we've learned is everybody grieves differently. Uh, and having to learn how each and every one of us grieve is something was probably one of the hardest things. My daughter, sometimes to be honest, I tried to do therapy with her. She didn't want to do it. She told the therapist the day that we went, the therapist is like, "Hey, so how many days do you think, that you need to come?" And she's like, "Today will be my last day." She didn't want to, and I didn't make her.
Yeah.
And she's a very private child. She's not the type of child that wants to be all in front of everybody and, that's just not her. So she would if she had her moment, she would be in her room. She is aware that she could talk to me. She could talk to her dad, but she's a very private child. She just preferred to, do it on her own with our support, of course. And I allowed her to grieve her way. My son at the time was a baby, but he remembers her, of course. She used to drag him around. That was her baby.
Mm.
Now as he got older, he would cry for his sister, and I'd have to try to talk to him and help him helping a child grieve is just not an easy thing to do, and just give him the space to let him get it out and how he wants to get it out, and now he's still tenderhearted when it comes to her. I know that it's a I can honestly say it's a lot different. I know that things would have been different if it hadn't happened. Sometimes I think that that happening made my son and my daughter both change their attitudes, change their outlook of life. They're not as happy-go-lucky as I would want them to be. They, their mental health, we're dealing with that, therapy, all this good stuff, trying to get them, where they need to be, but it's a work in progress. Even after all these years, it is still a work in progress because everything nothing happens and it's over. I developed PTSD literally almost 10 years after it happened. So it's just a journey we're still going on. My son right now, my daughter, she's moved out. She's handling things on her own. She doesn't like to talk about her sister too much. Um, she'll crack a joke every once in a while, and I'm like, "That's offensive. Don't do that." But at the same time, that's her way of mentioning her and, bringing her into the conversation. So I've learned to just ignore it and go with the flow because that's her right. That's her sister. I'm not going to take that from her. My son, he gets upset still. He doesn't like for anybody to say anything bad about her. He doesn't want anybody to talk about her, and he's just not game with that. So you have to kind of be a little careful with him. And my husband, he was the one who taught me out of everybody that we grieve different. I was all out with my grievance, and I wasn't ashamed, and I'd cry in front of anybody, and I would talk about it in front of anybody. Him, he's more private, like my daughter. He isn't. He'll cry, of course, and he has, but he's not as out there with it. It's in his own private moments that
Yeah.
he grieves and handles it, and that's okay. And I had to learn that that was okay. Because in your mind, when you don't see them acting like you're acting, you think that, oh, well, they didn't care, and that's not the case. So that's something we all had to kind of learn together that we all have our own way, and it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, that's very true. Grief does look different for everybody involved. We all approach it differently and we all have a different relationship with it, given the situation. Um,
Exactly.
in regards to what you would say to others, what is something that you would say to another parent who just lost their child and feels like they can't breathe?
Well, and one of the biggest things is it's okay to be sad and it's okay to be angry. Eventually, it is one of the hardest things that you're going to hear. And I hate to be the one to say it because I hated it when it was told to me is that eventually it gets easier and you'll be able to breathe again. And all the people who's around you that's there to help, they'll disappear and it'll be just you again. And that's okay. You're going to be okay. You have to pick yourself up. You have to keep going. You can't let it stop you because you have to look your child, they loved you. They didn't want anything bad to happen to you. It's up to you. Nobody's going to do it for you. You have to get up and do it for yourself. You have to live. You have to keep going. You're going to breathe again. It's going to take some time and it's going to hurt like hell, but you're going to pull through. And I think that would be one of my biggest things that I want everyone to know is that it hurts and it feels like you want to die and you do feel like that. But breathe. Take it day by day. Nobody can tell you how long to grieve. Nobody can tell you how to grieve. You're allowed to handle it how you choose to handle it as long as you handle it and keep moving forward.
What do you wish people understood better about child loss and the parents who survive it, such as yourself?
That it's okay to talk about their child. It's okay to mention their child. It's fine. We aren't going to get upset and be mad for mentioning our children. Our children existed. One of the biggest things that I think bothers me is when someone meets me for the first time, and I hate the question, "How many children do you have?" Because I still don't know how to answer it. So sometimes I'll just say 2, or if I'm feeling really snazzy, I'll say 2, and then I lost 1. Um, and then it gets weird. It gets really weird, and then the whole conversation goes sideways, and it's not their fault because they don't know how to act. They don't know what to say. They don't wanna upset you, but it's okay. Talk about our children. Our children were here. They were beautiful. They were loved. They were a part of this earth. It's okay to talk about the kids. It's okay. And if it upsets them, it's fine. We deal with it every day. We are gonna deal with this for the rest of our lives. We're upset almost every day. Every day. It's okay. Getting the chance to talk about our children is rare. We don't get to talk about them anymore. So when that opportunity comes, ask about their children. Ask about them. Let them tell you their story. Don't it's not just about, "Oh, they died." No, let them tell you how they lived. Ask them how that child lived. That would be one of my biggest things.
I like that. Ashley, is there anything that you would say to Nevaeh right now?
Yeah, I one of my things that I will regret forever, and I live with it every day, and it's probably one of the hardest things that I still deal with is the morning of the accident. I mentioned we had the flu and we were all getting over it. And that morning after I got her dressed for school, when I went and laid back down, she come in and told me she didn't feel good. And my last words prior to me telling her I loved her was, "Go to school, and if you don't feel good, call me, I'll come get you." And I could have kept her home, and I didn't. So I think there's a lot of to say I'm sorry for. I'm sorry I didn't keep her home. I'm sorry that I didn't just listen to what you had to say a lot of times. I'm sorry that I was short-tempered sometimes. And one of my things is she finally made the honor roll and I didn't go because I was sick. So that's another thing. I'm sorry I didn't get to go see you get your AB honor roll, and I'm sorry I don't get to see you grow up and I don't get to meet your children. And it's just a lot. It's a lot. It would take me days to go through the list of things that I'd like to say to that child.
Okay. I mean, if there was one message above everything else that you'd send to her right now, if she's tuning into you right now, what's the one thing above everything?
That I love her more than life itself.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I wouldn't do for her.
If if someone listening is sitting in their own dark place today, what's the one thing that you would want them to hear from you?
It can't be dark forever. There's always light. You have to find your own light. Be it if you have another child, let that child be your light. If you have a mother, a father, a loved one, let them be your light if you can't be your own light. But you have to get up because it can't always be dark. You have to find your own light. Think about your child. Think of the good times. Think of all that the smiles, the laughs, the birthdays, all the good times, and let that light your way and pull yourself out the darkness because you don't want to be left behind. And that would be what I would tell them. And that there is support out there and there's people that goes through it. You can always reach out to me if I'm an open book. You can reach out to a friend. There's people, there's groups, there's support groups that you can talk to. People don't suffer in silence. And I think that would be my biggest message.
What gives you the strength to keep going day to day, even when it feels impossible?
My kids,
Yeah,
my my kids. If I didn't have them, I would have laid down and died a long time ago. But I have them and they're my everything. And so I get up every day for them. I live for them. I don't even live for me anymore. I live for them. I'm literally here because of them. And Imma forever be grateful that I have them and that they got me to where I'm a little crazy at times, but I'm alive, I'm well, I laugh, I have a good time. We've made beautiful memories, and it's because of them.
that's beautiful. I'm glad you guys have each other. Um, and I I don't even I can't even express in words. I don't think I've ever had anybody give me answers quite the way that you have. I've talked to a lot of people in having a podcast. I've interviewed a lot of people who are in pain or who suffer. Um, but your answers, while even though you've gone through such a heartbreaking loss, one that I fear as a parent every day. It's in the back of my mind every moment, just knowing I have two precious children that at any time I could lose. But you talk about this loss with such strength and you have such resilience and just the message that you give to people. I'm truly very honored to be able to carry this message because it's a beautiful one of hope, and I'm glad that you were able to be here where you are with this, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. I surely appreciate it. It wasn't easy, but it's okay because we keep going. We live to fight another day.
In 2021, 711 children aged 12 and younger were killed in a motor vehicle crashes in the US, and over 63,000 were injured. Motor vehicle crashes have consistently been among the top 10 leading causes of death for children in the US. While safety measures have improved over the years, the risk remains significant, emphasizing the need for continued awareness and prevention efforts. Approximately 6.3 million U.S. children will experience the death of a parent or sibling by the time they turn 18. This equates to 1 in 12 children facing such a loss during their childhood. In 2022, an estimated 1,089 children in the U.S. became newly bereaved each day. Contrary to common belief, a study found that 72% of parents who were married at the time of their child's death remained married afterward, challenging the notion that most couples divorce following such a tragedy. Here's some resources for grieving parents. The National Alliance for Children's Grief, NACG, offers data, support programs, and educational resources for families and professionals. Judy's House, Childhood Bereavement Estimation Model, or CBEM, provides state and national data on childhood grief to inform community support efforts. Experience camps. They host free week-long camps for children who have experienced the death of a parent, a sibling, or a primary caregiver. Well, next week will officially be my last episode of season 2. I will be coming back for a special birthday episode, but I think that I'm stopping there for the season. If you're struggling with loss, I want you to hear me. Your grief is valid. It's okay to not be okay. If you need help, reach out, whether it's to a friend, a therapist, or someone you trust. I'm here for you. Love each other. Love yourselves. I love you.